Hey, what's up guys? My name's Jordan. Welcome back to the channel. Last time you were here, we were checking out the Reaper from Suhr My Guitar. Now today, we're gonna be discussing something that we've all experienced and been through. We feel like we're not progressing and making the progress that we want. We're spending all this time, but we're not getting the skills and we're not seeing the development that we want. And today we're gonna be discussing 7 reasons that you might still be sucking at guitar.
Looking around in the darkness, you don't know what's behind the next door. Imagination's running wild. Is it real or simply fantasy?
None of these 7 reasons are inherently bad in making you worse, but it leads to the susceptibility of making you not progress and become the guitar player that you want to be. Let me know down below which of the 7 is kind of your fault in holding you back on guitar. The first one, tab. The amount of times I get comments, I see other people comment about it, I talk to guitar players and they want tab for absolutely everything. Oh, can I get tab for that? Oh, I want to learn that lick. Can I get tab for that? And that's not inherently wrong. Tab is a very useful, valuable tool. But I see it holding people back because there's many reasons, because it's going to lead to the next point, is people are not using their ears anymore. Okay, we're not learning songs by ear like we used to. We're not learning solos by ear. We're not learning licks by ear. We're not developing our ear and how it flows and follows the guitar. And if you see a video, you should be like, oh, what's that sound like? And you sit down and you try to find one note at a time, okay? And this is also going to lead to other points. You shouldn't be holding yourself back and waiting to progress because you don't have tab for something yet, right? Number one, I don't trust most tab, especially if you're trying to learn a guitar solo. Unless it's like fully qualified, it's probably wrong. And you should develop your ear because your ear will hear that and be like, this is not right, that note's wrong, or this thing is not exactly how it's being played. Or I've seen guys do tab and it's the right note, because you gotta think the guitar, we have like multiples of the literal same note, okay? Well, tab, it's very susceptible of getting the right note, but the wrong placement. And especially if there's a fast lick or something like that, if you get the wrong note, if you get the right note, but at the wrong place on the guitar, it might set up your technique to not be able to play what comes after properly. So the best thing is to use your ear. And that ties into the second point, is when you sit down and want to learn something, a song in particular, or a scale or a lick, try to learn it by ear first. Don't go find a lesson video and tab on some tab website or something like that. Sit down with your ear and be willing to play it wrong and incorrectly and train the ear. Search, if you hear an A chord, if you hear an A chord, but you don't know what it is, search the guitar like, well, that's it. And then got that. And then the next chord, F sharp or something. And you're like, I don't know where that's at. Oh, that's the chord. Same thing with a solo. If someone plays a lick, if they do that, search around the fretboard. And you're like, those are the wrong notes, right? And then you find it. And you're like, oh, that's that note. Okay, so what comes next? You're like, oh, that's that note. And you find that. It might take a few seconds, and then finally, you can knock it out by ear, and you're going to be a way better musician and guitar player because of it. All right, now the next thing, which in my opinion is tied to tab and not learning things by ear, is watching too many lesson videos, which I make a lot of lesson videos, I know. They're probably teaching you wrong. I don't, I would recommend you most likely don't trust anybody, especially if you're trying to learn a song by somebody else. They're probably not playing it accurately, and especially they're not, when you get that well-trained ear, because you're learning songs by ear, and it might take time, you're going to be like, oh, that guy's playing it wrong. It's this, I can tell on the spot. Because you'll start hearing the tonality of the same note, but you're like, oh, that's on the high E. That guy played it on the B string. I can hear that's the high E. It needs to be played there. And that ear will become so developed and strong. But if you're just always watching lesson videos, trying to learn songs that way, and learn scales that way, and licks that way, you're not developing your proper musicianship. You're not becoming in tune with the instrument. Because you will adapt with your ear, where you'll start hearing things, and you'll know, oh, that must be right here. That must be somewhere like right here on the fretboard. Oh, that sounds like the pentatonic scale. So if we're right here, it's somewhere in the pentatonic scale. And you start developing this, and your ear gets so strong, and it's gonna make you such a better guitar player. All All right, the next thing is a very important thing, but I see it done so wrong and it causes some problems, I would say. So it's theory. And there's 3 things I want to talk about theory. The third one is that it's very important and that you need to learn it, and you need to learn it correctly. The other thing is there's a lot of people out there that just want to avoid theory. They're like, oh, I don't need theory. All my favorite guitar players don't use theory. I'm going to figure it out on my own somehow. I'm going to avoid theory. I want to have feeling. I don't want to have this theoretical knowledge of things. And it just holds people back for years and years and years and years, when if they just sat down and got a teacher or found some credible videos of someone teaching like the major scale, how triads are built, and how to use that on the fretboard all over in different keys, they would be light years ahead. But then on the contrary, if you learn theory from the wrong person, and the biggest one for guitar players for some reason is modes. So many people are like, oh, I know the modes too. I know the modes. I know this, that, and the other thing in the modes. I know this. Oh, hey, what are the modes? I keep hearing about that. If you don't know the major scale in all positions on the fretboard, triads in all positions on the fretboard, and how to interwork that, the concept of modes needs to be left out of your mind for quite a while until you develop that, because so many people get infatuated with modes. I think it's this great thing, and the problem is there's videos hyping it up. What you don't know about the modes, or the hidden secret of the modes and all this. And it's really just holding you back, because a lot of these people are teaching modes wrong. It's the most wrongly taught thing I've ever seen in my life on guitar. And really in theory, in music theory in general. Do not learn modes if you don't know like all the 5 pentatonic positions, if you don't know the 7 major scale positions, if you don't know all the triads, if you don't know all the arpeggio shapes and all the major 7th kind of chord shapes. Obviously you can, and you can understand it, but most likely you shouldn't. You need to sit down, learn the basics, learn all the notes on the fretboard, learn all the pentatonic shapes, the major scale shapes, and then like I said, the triads and chords and all that before ever thinking about modes, okay? So theory is very important, but make sure to take your time and learn it the right way. If you would like to support me and this channel, go check out my Patreon. The link is in the description below. Over there, you'll find tons of great guitar lessons, all with tab, covering scales, licks, techniques, and much more. You also get early access to videos, and you can sign up for one-on-one lessons with me. Thank you guys so much for the support. Let's get back to the video. All right, this is gonna be technically 5 and 6. I'm gonna kind of group them together. And that is perfectionism and being impatient. I could probably group persistence in there as well. The first thing, perfectionism, is so important. However, it is so detrimental, especially if you're trying to become the best guitar player that you can be. Where I see it with people, and I'm like, I'm so glad they have that perfectionism mentality, but where it holds you back especially is where speed and technique in learning licks and things like that. Because a lot of the people that are very infatuated with the perfectionism, they won't let themselves sound like crap. They won't let themselves play the wrong notes, make mistakes, right? They don't have the curiosity and the openness to sound like absolute trash, okay? And it holds them back with speed because they want to play every note perfectly, which is a great thing. Of course, we all want to play every note perfectly, but building speed and building perfectionism, they don't go together. You have to build speed and then clean it up later. You can't do it at the same time because you're always gonna hit a roadblock because you want to be perfect. Same thing, like especially when it comes to improvising, learning licks, learning solos that are outside of your reach. A lot of people that are perfect, they're like, oh, I want to learn that solo, but I'm not ready yet. I'm going to wait until I do this. And then there's this whole thing of waiting until everything's perfect, and it's just holding you back. You have to be willing to suck. Contrary of the title of the video, the reason you're sucking is because you're not letting you suck. Because what's going to happen is you get okay with that. Hold on to that perfectionism, but put it away sometimes to work on speed, to work on songs out of your vocabulary, to learn theory that's outside of your normal vocabulary, to learn new genres that you're not comfortable with. You have to be willing to suck in order to not suck. All right, the next thing is being impatient, and that kind of goes with persistency. So many comments, so many students are like, oh, I've been playing for this many years and I'm not where I want to be or where I thought I would be. Oh man, I've been working on alternate picking for 3 months and I just can't play as fast as you yet. I've been watching all these Paul Gilbert lessons. I got on practice for the last 2 weeks, but I'm not as fast as Paul Gilbert yet. Why is that? What am I doing wrong? Do I need to change picking techniques? And I'm like, You're just being impatient. You need to be patient and be persistent, okay? A lot of these goals need to be allotted at 6 months to a year, okay? No goal that you have most goals, I would say, I'm not gonna say no, but most goals, a month is a very short time frame to achieve a goal, in my opinion, when it comes to developing guitar playing ability. Like 1 month, you can't do that much in a month. You can do a lot, but you can't do that much. And I think it's a quote by Bill Gates. I'd have to look it up. But people underestimate what they can do in a decade, and they overestimate what they can do in a year. What that means is you think in like 1 month, I can get from here to here if I just do this, that, and all these secret things. But you underestimate what you could do in a whole year or in 5 years. Like you could be so much further if you just take the patient route, take your time, be willing to suck, don't have to be perfect all the time, but be persistent for a year, for 2 years, for 3 years. Don't be like, after a week, I'm like, oh, I haven't seen any progress. I must be doing something wrong. I'm going to stop doing it, right? Give it 3 months and then be like, you know what? I've gotten a little bit better. I got 5 BPM faster at this lick. Oh, that's perfect. Maybe that's all you need to do is 5 BPM faster for 3 months. That's over a year is going to be what, 20 BPM faster? That might be all you need to do. And then you're in 2 years, that's 40 BPM faster. And now you're playing as fast as anybody that you would ever want to play. But you want to be 40 BPM faster next week or a month from now. It's holding you back so much. So be careful. Don't be impatient. Be very patient. Be very persistent. And let go of that perfectionism. Now, the last thing, like I said earlier, none of these are inherently wrong, okay? Especially this one. This one's, in my opinion, is very important, but it's probably the biggest waste of time out of anything, and it's really, really why you are not the guitar player that you want to be. Gear. And it's important. It's important to focus on gear, find great tone, learn how pedals work, how to set up a pedal board, find your sound that you love, find a guitar that you love. Gear is very, very important, but it's so easy to just watch video after video after video about gear, or try a new, I got this guitar, but I really want a Strat, and then I want a Tele, and then, man, if I just had a Les Paul, I'd be so satisfied and be able to play guitar great. And you're always on this, if I had this new pedal, the Boss DS1, but you know what I really want is the MXR super badass overdrive, or man, if I just had a Marshall amp, I would be in this whole thing. Or if I tried a new string gauge, maybe if I tried 9s instead of 10s, I'd be better. There's a big infatuation with gear, and it's worth it. It's very important, but it's holding your guitar playing ability back so far. I would recommend this with gear things. Have seasons, I would say, that you're really focused on gear. You're thinking about pedals, trying to create the best rig and create the best tones that you can. Then you have other seasons that you might not even want to plug into an amp. And the reason you don't want to is because you might start turning on, the mids are too much, I need to turn that back, or the treble, I need more gain, or the reverb's not right. And then what happens, you're not practicing, you're not developing your guitar skills anymore. And 3 months could go by and you got better tone, which is important, but you're not a better guitar player, which is also very important. So be very careful when it comes to gear, okay? I would recommend probably going periods of time without plugging into an amp and practicing that way, for you don't have to worry about pedals and this and that. You're just kind of locked with a guitar. You can focus on trying to get the guitar set up the best that you can, or the right string gauge, but you might want to just play acoustically. See, there's no amp. I don't have to worry about, there's too much gain, too much reverb, not enough delay. I don't have to worry about all that. I can just play acoustically. If I need to practice rhythm, I can do that. I'm not all nerdy about gear and what pedals I'm using, if I need to add chorus or compression, right? It's important to learn those and learn how to use that gear. And it's obviously you want good tone and all that, but it's holding you back from being the guitar player that you want to be. All right, well, that's the whole video. I'm guessing that one of the 7 reasons that's holding you back and making you suck at guitar stuck out to you, and you're like, I am doing that. That is a problem for me, and I need to stop doing that. And I hope I gave you ways to avoid it as well, because I don't want to just bring up the reasons that you're not where you want to be on guitar, but not give you some alternatives. So I hope you found that, and you might be all of them at different times, right? You might just be one, it might just be the other. But I hope one of these 7 stood out to you, and I hope you change that about you and give it 3-6 months and watch how much you're going to progress on guitar because of it. And I'll see you guys back next time.